the thing people don't understand about Nigel actually is he's very non-confrontational. You might find that surprising, but he does not like confrontation at all. He's very robust publicly, but actually, when things get a little bit difficult, if he's got issues, he's more of a shutters down person.
Alex Phillips, you have been watching that. You too, a former Brexit Party MEP. You too, a very close ally of Nigel Farage. You stay close to him, but I know you also have a lot of respect for Rupert Lowe. What's your take on this? Is there a way that this can be resolved, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, hopefully they'd be great for this to be resolved one way or another, because what we do know is divisions in parties really don't play well publicly. We saw that with the fallout within the Conservative Party. And we live in a very strange era politically now, where things once upon a time that would have happened behind closed doors, let's say, disagreements and arguments and disputes, and let's be fair, that happens in marriages, it happens in workplaces, it happens in offices, and it especially happens in politics, which is a high pressure environment, ideologically driven. It's unlike any other workplace you can imagine. So normally this sort of stuff would have happened behind closed doors and would have been concealed, and yet what we live in now is a sort of minute by minute news environment where you've even got the president of the United States having a Twitter spat with the president of Ukraine, and it's this whole new world that we're having to embrace and kind of get used to. But I think there's a tacit lesson here that has always been true and should remain true, that I think most people need to heed, which is don't wash your dirty linen in public. Now, Nigel's one of my closest friends. I adore that man. I'd lay down my life for him. He's brilliant. There's no political leader like him. And Rupert is someone I also know really, really well as a former Brexit Party MEP. He is so sharp. He's so bright. He is, real credit actually. And I think he was really making waves as an MP. And I can remember sitting back watching all of this with such optimism, thinking this is brilliant. Look at reform. It's really going places. Look at the credibility the party now has, even with just 5 MPs polling ahead of everybody else, because the legacy parties are just dead in the water. No one can trust them. No one can respect them. They're chaotic. They're divided. They're hypocritical. And so to watch this now happen is a bit like a Greek tragedy almost. What I'd say is I don't know what's gone on. I wasn't sitting in those offices. I've spoken to various people. I've heard various things. I really don't know. So I can't pass a comment on, the situation any more than you can, any more than anyone listening or watching this can. What I would really hope is that it's interesting. At the start of his interview, Rupert was using the word "we" a lot, and when he was talking about reform, and
I think he's still in it, and that's what's so sad, Alex, because I'm obviously spent the weekend speaking to lots of senior figures within reform, and I don't think they believe there is a way back.
But this is because it's all happened so publicly. And if you put things online now, something that might be maybe even a big problem becomes magnified. It gets exacerbated. It's a bit like imagining 2 people going through a divorce, and divorces are, horrible, acrimonious things, and every single conversation happening in the public domain. It sort of acts as an accelerant. And so an ego gets involved, and then you have people who are taking sides and tribalism, and there are certain people who sit on the wings like munching popcorn, trying to stir it all up, going, which side are you on? Are you team Nigel? Are you team Rupert? And I'm like, I'm team reform, okay? I am team UK. I am team having the brightest and the best people running this country who have the right policies and the right convictions and the right ideologies. And I have been UKIP and I have been Brexit Party. And I've been reform. And so I know who my team is. And my team is that team. And that team has always been led by Nigel Farage as the inspiring figurehead. And I don't want to see that change. I think there's been a lot of other people who have maybe, really tried to maximize on frictions and problems and
Mm.
tried to make a mountain out of a molehill for their own interests. I don't know necessarily why they would do that. I don't know what their motivation is. Maybe they are aligned with other political parties. Maybe for them, this is all just a game. They watch West Wing or something and think that this is how it should be done. Absolutely not. I just hope that there will be a moment of sense. It's really hard, okay, when people fall out. I've fallen out with best friends before. In fact, this kind of reminds me a bit of being at girls' school, where all of a sudden someone's not in the group, not in the cool group, or wants to like someone else, and they're pushed out, and then
Oh
there's a
no,
sense
you're
of
giving me hives thinking about high school. Yeah, I get you.
sensible person speaking to that person in the playground. It's like, well, now you've spoken to them, you can't now come sit with us in the canteen. It's that there's a lot of that going on right now.
Can't you play mediator, Alex? You know all of these men. Can you set up a WhatsApp group and just say, guys, I want to bang your heads together, bring you all into a room, let's talk this out. I think you're the woman to do it,
Maybe I should set up a little office in Westminster as some sort of mediator and light some incense sticks and have some crystals for good energy and a dream catcher or something. I don't know. If only it were that simple. But the problem is, these are brilliant men. They're all leaders. Okay. So this is what you've got to remember. They're all alpha males. They're all leaders. They're all people who are used to, being at the front, being the vanguard, not being the staff of, not being, a subject of. And there'll be a lot of ego and pride at play and a lot of conviction of this is the right way and you're the one who's messed it up. No, you're the one who's messed it up. And this must happen. What I want to say is this must happen in all political parties. Otherwise, they'd be full of pointless people, right? If everyone in political parties was sitting there with a ukulele singing Kumbaya like Ed Miliband, nothing would get done.
True.
So, the strength of character and the strength of conviction, on the flip side of this, it's like two halves of the same coin, comes this sort of, this intransigence at times, this maybe being a little bit slower to reconcile. And I just think a lot of people watching this right now and listening right now put their hope in reform. They thought, this is it. Finally, Brexit, we had that. We were ignored. We've been ostracized, pushed to the sidelines, bullied, alienated because of our beliefs. They've seen what's gone on in America. And remember, of course, there's been fireworks in America. At one point, J.D. Vance and Donald Trump weren't exactly best mates. J.D. Vance had some pretty choice words.
Exactly. So there's hope. There's hope.
There's hope.
There is hope. We've got our heart. I still hold on to a little bit of hope they can turn around. Alex, I do want to ask you about the personal criticism of Nigel Farage because I've seen so much of this over the weekend. Now, interestingly, we both worked with Nigel. You worked with him far closer than I did, but I worked with him for 3 years on GB News. We shared the primetime lineup. He came on my show every single week without fail, and I've never fallen out with the guy. So I think that is worth saying. However, that's not really where the discussion has been online over the past couple of days. Christine Hamilton posted about this, good friend of mine.
Oh, I mean, blimmin' heck, you're bringing Christine Hamilton into it, the Wicked Witch of the West.
Well, she said this is mirror image Farage behaviour against anyone he perceives as threatening his supreme authority. It mirrors what he did to Hubs and UKIP over 10 years ago, inventing false allegations because he was too popular with the members and supporters. Slap down with venom anyone who threatens or questions the great leader. A great leader delegates. Then Lance Foreman posted, he was a Brexit Party MEP with you guys, saying the mad thing is we all like Nigel and think he's great. I don't know why he feels threatened when he has good people around him, clearly an insecurity. If he called you now and had dinner with you and Ben and sacked Zia, his credibility would skyrocket. So what is it? Is Nigel threatened by strong people? Because you're strong. He's not threatened by you. But first, this episode of Outspoken is brought to you by Manscaped, the global leader in men's lifestyle and grooming. Every man knows the unbeatable feeling of a fresh barbershop shave. Now, what if I told you that you no longer have to wait weeks or even months between appointments to experience it? Introducing Manscaped's newest innovation, the Chairman Pro Electric Foil Shaver, the game-changing tool that brings the luxury of a professional shave right into your home. Whether you're after that daily silky smooth finish or prefer to maintain a rugged 5 o'clock shadow, the Chairman Pro Electric electric foil shaver is your go-to for precision and style every time. After so many shaving mishaps in my past, Manscaped has improved my grooming routine no end and my confidence with it. So what makes the Chairman Pro stand out? Well, it's all about versatility and precision. It comes with 2 interchangeable skin-safe blade heads. You have the skin-safe 4-blade foil for that close, smooth shave when you're looking to go completely clean. And if a clean shave isn't your style, that's okay. Do what I do and switch to the skin-safe stubble trimmer to keep your stubble looking, I hope you agree, sharp and polished. Both heads are designed with skin-safe technology to help reduce razor burn and irritation, so your skin feels smooth and comfortable after every shave, reducing redness or discomfort. A standout feature that truly differentiates the Chairman Pro from the rest is the Flex Adjust technology. This innovation ensures a superior shave by allowing both blades and the pivoting head to seamlessly adapt to the unique contours of your face and is gentle on the neck area, helping you maintain great contact with your skin at every angle. And if you want even more precision, on the right side there's the precision lock, so when you lock it, the blade head sits firm so you can achieve a more precise shave. It's waterproof too, which means you can clean up by rinsing it under the sink. Get the Chairman Pro today and experience a shave that is as smooth as you deserve. Head on over to manscaped.com and join the over 11 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped, including me. Use the code Outspoken. This is incredible. You will get 20% off your entire order and free international shipping. That's manscaped.com using the code Outspoken for free shipping and a whopping 20% discount on your entire order. But now, back to the show.
Let's just pick off that. Well, I think it's because I'm a woman, so I've got emotional intelligence, so I know how to handle people a bit better, perhaps. But let's pick off the first. I mean, Christine Hamilton. The Hamiltons were, because I was around in the Hamilton era. It was a screaming mess. It ended up, basically sending UKIP to the dustbin of history. Yes, it's under new leadership or whatever now, but the UKIP, which was Nigel's UKIP, had to end up being binned because there were all sorts of nefarious plotting and actions going on the National Executive Committee. And just to let you know about those people, I remember when I was working over in Wales, they started doing mad things. Like they actually said they reported me to the Welsh police for misuse of party funds or something crazy. And then they phoned up journalists and went, oh, she's going to be investigated by the police. And then ended up having to be questioned in Brussels under caution by Olaf, the fraud department, because the accusation was that I was being paid by the European Parliament as parliamentary staff and working for the party domestically. I mean, it wasn't even remotely true. I wasn't, so I wasn't actually employed by the European Parliament at all. But that's the sort of games they played. So I don't want to hear anything from that woman about decency and probity and honour in politics. She can zip. Now, Lance, I'm fond of Lance. I really, really like Lance. But Lance defected to the Conservatives, okay? I remember when we first set up as a political, there's a group in the European Parliament, and there was a big discussion about whether we go join a larger group involving other countries and other political parties as a cohort in the European Parliament. And if you do that, you get more staff, you get more funding, you get more resources. But this would mean sitting with people or smaller parties from other countries who were suspected of having anti-Semitic viewpoints. And so we sort of had a discussion as a group. The positives of what this would mean were laid out. And, Lance said, I just can't do that. And we said, absolutely, okay, we're not going to do that. And it was Nigel who led those discussions. And it was Nigel who had that collegiate approach. And like I said, I'm a big fan of Lance, but again, I don't want to sort of, I don't think he might be sitting there as one of the popcorn eaters. And the thing is, we do.
So I guess your point, Alex, is that all of these specific fallings out have a story behind them. It's not as easy to say Nigel Farage, bad guy who falls out with everyone. That's your point.
Fallings out, and lots of people have fallen out of lots of people. We fall out with people in life. It happens, you and I both, you could say, fell out with a particular character at GB News, and we're not there anymore. Bad people with bad
That's the understatement of the year.
It's everyone finds people in their own way. The thing people don't understand about Nigel actually is he's very non-confrontational. You might find that surprising, but he does not like confrontation at all. He's very robust publicly, but actually, when things get a little bit difficult, if he's got issues, he's more of a shutters down person, okay? And so it's a bit like, if I could have, if I could have spoken to someone like Rupert sooner, or, when Ben also sort of, had his moment and got frustrated, if I could have said to them, actually, when it comes to Ben, again, someone I love to bits, a very dear friend of mine. And I said to him, just, put the toys back in the pram, calm down. This is the way to do it. You can't turn around and say to Nigel, you must meet me in my office at this time, da, 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 da. This is the way to handle this situation. And no one listened to me. If only they did, life would be better. But the thing is, you're dealing with big characters, and what you need when you've got a big character and a brilliant man like Nigel is you just need to have the right, a good team around who are able to handle things professionally, properly. I'm not saying that isn't what's happened this time. I'm not in reform, I'm not there in the middle of the offices involving myself. But it would be utterly ridiculous and suicidal for the party to suddenly go, right, that's it, we're getting rid of Nigel. That's crazy. Let's not do that. But at the same time, isn't it just tragic and heartbreaking to see what has happened so publicly, whatever was going on behind closed doors, to see what's happened so publicly with someone like Rupert Lowe, who really was, really making waves politically, gathering a lot of admiring fans. And you'd think with so few of them in the party, they should have been able to sit down and somehow resolve this. I mean, sometimes you have to put things into perspective. I'm going to play psychologist stroke therapist here. Sometimes you have to put things in perspective. We all have moments where, I might wake up and have a big eczema tackle over my face and want to sob in front of the mirror and go, oh, this is terrible.
Still beautiful. Still beautiful.
No, thanks. You should see it under the makeup. And you have to say to yourself, am I dead? No. Have I got a terminal illness? No. In 3-4 days' time, is this going to have cleared up? Yes. Is it a chronic problem? Is it going to come back again? Yes. So how do I make sure I manage things so I kind of minimize or mitigate the impact of it in future? And I think that we all need to take that approach to the relationships in our life. My poor long-suffering boyfriend, God bless him, sometimes must, think very clearly in his head, I've got to dump this woman, she's a nightmare. But then you remember you love each other and you work through it. Humans are messy, humans are complicated, relationships are so difficult. There's barely democracy in a marriage or diplomacy in a best friendship. We all piss each other off, quite frankly, on a regular basis. And so I just think, it's one of those situations where I just, anybody who is involved in politics needs to go, right, this person's got on my wick. And this applies to both sides in any dispute. How do I step back? How do I take some time? How do I give the other person time and space? And how do I try and be thoughtful about what is going to exacerbate a situation and what's going to mollify a situation? And in this instance, two things have massively exacerbated what clearly was a situation happening, which shouldn't have been made public. The first thing was, and I admire Rupert greatly, but that interview of Andrew Pierce, what are you doing? You don't do that. Like that's not, however frustrated you are, however much you might be pulling out your hair, going to a Tory affiliated journalist and saying, well, the leadership of the party should change. Do you honestly think that's going to make things better? Or do you think that's probably going to make things worse? So that's number one. And then number two, the party then sort of came out with that big statement saying, oh, bullying claims and all of that's then pushed right into the public domain. So everybody's speaking now about these huge fallouts in reform rather than the greatness of reform. And we've just learned there's going to be a by-election now because Mike Amesbury's quit, as he should have done. So
yes, that's just broken while we've been doing this interview, believe it or not.
Reform, that was their seat to win. Yeah. It was theirs.
I know.
So want them to be on the front foot. And so this is what I mean. The old adage is, don't write things down unless you really want people to hold you accountable for it.
No, very good point.
This ended up with just madness all over X. This one putting out this statement, an hour later then someone says this, and it's just, can you just all just go on holiday for a week to Barbados or something, have a pina colada on the beach and come back when you're a little
I could deal with that right now.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for watching Dan Wootton Outspoken. Please click on my face just to the bottom left to subscribe to this brand new independent news source and turn on the notification bell so you'll be alerted to our brand new live shows, uncancelled interviews and special royal episodes. Outspoken is also now available as a podcast, so you can listen to the show every weekday on the go, wherever you are.